From Chris Email. To Tom Email. Subject: cancelled orders, help. To whom this may concern. I'm inquiring personally about new popular RPG, which was recently released by Big Explosions. We have placed several orders for large quantities of this title due to high demand, and each time we place it, we receive the below attached message that our order unfortunately had to be rejected. I understand this may be a glitch in your system of some sort, but I would be very appreciative if you could resolve this, so we can order this title. Yours, Chris, owner, Big Down Home RPG Game Store. From Tom Email. To Chris Email. CC, Big Explosions publishing staff, including clickety_clickety. Subject: cancelled orders, help. Hi Chris. It's been a long time. I don't know if you remember me, but I actually grew up in *HOMETOWN* and frequented your store through middle school and high school. Your store and the games we played made an incredible impression on me and influenced my career path. It made me want to write and develop role-playing games, which led me to start small indie gaming CO** and move out here to Seattle to collaborate with other developers and develop it. You might recall, back in 2016, that *KENNY-POPULAR-RPG* was initially released as an indie title called *KENNY-LESS-POPULAR-RPG*. We fronted the costs on publishing and marketing, and sought out game stores in the Northwest United States to play test our games. I, however, never forgot your kindness and those years spent in the back room of your store playing Magic the Gathering and D&D, so I took a 16-hour road trip to show up at your store and personally ask you if you would be interested in selling it on your shelves upon release. At that time, you told me that you only had room for big titles, and that you couldn't accept every indie RPG developer that knocks on your door. I then offered to send you free copies of the title to sell for 100% profit, because honestly I just wanted to have my own RPG on the shelves in the store that was so important to my youth. But you laughed, and told me again that you only had room for big titles, that the RPG industry was really cutthroat, and that you didn't have room for even one copy of my book. Last year in 2018 I was privileged to merge with and acquire the much larger Big Explosions PUBLISHING* and all of its titles. We are sincerely blessed to be able to share the love of RPGs internationally, and this year, we re-released my game as *KENNY-POPULAR-RPG* with a $500,000 marketing campaign that has been incredibly successful. In conclusion, Chris, you are free to order absolutely any title from the Big EXPLOSIONS* distribution list. There are many to choose from. However, the distributor has been given strict instruction not to distribute *KENNY-POPULAR-RPG* to your store. I'm sure there are much bigger titles that can fill your shelves. Yours most sincerely, Tom, Director, Big Explosions Gaming. Long post warning. I added all the background because it makes the payoff so much better. The universe aligned the stars for me with this story. My old coworkers and I still talk about it. Backstory: I was working at a popular coffee shop chain in a high volume, swanky location as a barista. We were specially trained to make fancier, novelty drinks compared to other locations. I loved my team and my manager, and for the most part, everyone got along. Then, my manager informed us she was moving to another location and we would be getting a new store manager. This new manager, who we will call Jack, was an old assistant manager from this location. He trained here before becoming the store manager of his own location. Jack would be returning to be our new manager, since he had experience in these fancier stores from his training days. Everyone in the store dreaded his return. From what I gathered, Jack was an a-hole when he was an assistant manager. Within the first few weeks, things went downhill. He started writing up certain baristas constantly for infractions that others got away with. He slashed everyone's hours from full-time to part-time, claiming that our job description never stated we were entitled to full-time. One barista went from 39.75 hours a week to 16.50. Jack claimed our company had no write-up expiration date, so he was writing up baristas based on clock in Latin S's within our time management software from when our old manager still ran the store. People went from a clean record to final warning within one meeting with him. Those who had worked with him before organized themselves into a list of who would get fired next. We didn't suspect there was a personal vendetta against certain baristas who knew him when he was an assistant manager. We knew there was. One by one, several people were fired, all in the order they knew they would be fired. Others found jobs elsewhere. It became a race against the clock. Either quit or wait to be fired for something trivial. We brought up these issues with our district manager, but he ignored them. Slashing hours and getting corners, including cutting corners on cleaning standards, was proving to be beneficial to the district manager, and he was not interested in helping us. I was badly burned by our drip brewer and he refused to help me fill out the workers' comp report, as he was too busy placing the weekly order. I had extremely bad cramps in my thigh and went to urgent care. I was one of the last walk-ins at the clinic and left after they closed. When I sent him a picture of the doctor's note, he googled the location from the letterhead and claimed I faked the note since the place was supposed to be closed. Jack belittled me and other baristas on the cafe floor in front of customers. My mental and physical health suffered. When one of my good friends was fired, I quit with nothing else lined up because I feared I was either going to break down or get fired. This friend, Anthony, got me a job at my current workplace. After Anthony got fired, he struggled to make ends meet with just the one job. I helped him out by preparing large batches of food and dropping them off at his workplace. I met his manager and got an interview the following week. I had been working at this place for probably 2 months when the most magical thing happened to me. The incident. I finished a closing shift at my current job and was passing by my old store, closed for the day, when I saw 2 mice running around the lobby. I filmed it. Guess cutting corners and cleaning and health standards was causing a bit of a rodent issue. In a rush of pent-up anger, watching my teen get fired over nothing, watching Anthony struggle to eat, suffering at the hands of Jack myself, I posted the video to Instagram and tagged the store in it. I posted photos and links to the video on Yelp, Google reviews, the company page, the customer complaint email, everywhere. I figured at most, I was going to be the fly in his ointment and annoy him and the district manager. Then I sent the video of the mice to the Department of Health. A couple days later, the Department of Health served the coffee shop a notice saying they were preparing to do a full inspection. I hear this news from my barista friends. A couple weeks go by and my current job has a turn in management itself. We weren't getting our legally mandated half-hour breaks and I'm put on 9-hour shifts with no meals. It was a smaller company with no official hour management training, so they thought they could get away with it. Thankfully, this small company's hours was much more sincere than the coffee shop hours, so I arranged a meeting. I stopped by my old coffee shop before my meeting to say hello to the few friends who still worked there. I noticed Jack and the district manager were there. I grabbed a water and sat down to organize my hours meeting notes. Not even a half hour later, the shift supervisor approaches my area and tells all the cafe customers to leave as the health department has shut them down. She just turns to me and says, "Yes, it was your mice. They found out we have an infestation." Then walks away. Jack and the district manager don't make eye contact with me. I gleefully return to my current workplace and tell Anthony how I was actually there to see justice happen. Justice that I started with my own hands. He tells my coworkers, even my managers find out I shut down a whole store from one report. Ours catches wind of this story before our meeting, and I've never been in a more polite apologetic hours meeting. My managers were reprimanded, and we had all breaks restored to us. All the departed/fired baristas took pictures in front of the Department of Health shutdown notice that was taped to the store door. The windows were shuttered up, and the place was vandalized several times. They started the cleaning process and the inspector would return to clear it again. About 2 weeks after the store shut down, I get a call from the coffee shop's hour department. Apparently, whenever they have something like this happen, they look through the records of the store. Between the mass exit of seasoned baristas and the complaints made to the district manager and ours, they had a novel about my old cafe. The hours rep asked me why I left, and the first words out of my mouth are left because of Jack the manager, and the district manager is complicit in his actions. They call all of the ex-baristas and a couple current baristas for their stories with Jack, all negative. Jack was fired and was banned from working with the company. He packed up and moved across the country. The fancy location was taken from the district manager and now he only oversees basic cafes. I got promoted at my current job to assistant director of the site, to oversee ours compliant overhaul to improve the workplace, based on my knowledge of OSHA and state labor laws, a knowledge partly based on my extensive independent research I did when I was working under Jack, and partly because of my father's experience as a defense lawyer who passed down a deep understanding and appreciation for human/workers' rights laws. Anthony and the other fired baristas were offered their jobs back, which Anthony accepted. He is in a better financial situation now. I owned a sign company. I received a phone call from someone at a local mall. He was opening a restaurant in the food court. The catch was that he wanted to be open in 2 weeks for Black Friday, the busiest shopping day of the year. I met with him and mall management at the same time so that we could discuss ideas and get approval at the same time to speed up production. Got everything okayed from his big overhead backlit menu sign, smaller signs on both walls, and signs for both registers. All in all, it was going to be a pretty large order. I typically get a 50% deposit, but the customer said something about international money transfers, and the mall management jumped right in to explain that payments were taking a couple of weeks to process, but everything they charged him had been paid. Because I had been doing a lot of work in the mall, and I was trying to help them get this guy open, I agreed to do it without the deposit. I did layouts, he approved them. I showed him samples, he approved them. I got everything finished and installed the Tuesday before he needed them. That's when things went downhill fast. He immediately started complaining that the material was wrong, even though he'd seen samples and it wasn't what he wanted. Then he complained that the graphics were wrong, even though he'd approved them. He complained that the prices were wrong, even though they all matched the menu he provided. Wednesday afternoon I called him again, and his wife answered. She cheerfully told me that I could take down my damn signs. They weren't paying for them. They had ordered signs cheaper from someone else, but they couldn't get them ready in time, and as soon as the other signs were ready, mine were going in the trash. So, realizing that I'd screwed myself by doing the job without a deposit, I hung everything on her little side comment that I could take down my damn signs. Thursday I had a delightful Thanksgiving lunch with my family. We watched football, we laughed, we enjoyed the day. I took my wife and kids home, loaded up a ladder, and joyfully went to the mall. I'd done enough after hours work at the mall that I knew there would be a door open somewhere and people in the large stores getting ready for the Black Friday crowds. I went in, tossed my ladder over the restaurant counter, and started taking down the signs. A couple of merchants in the mall asked me if the place was already closing. I told them the story, and the next thing I know they are helping me take down the signs. In 30 minutes the place went from looking like a fully opened, ready to rock restaurant to looking closed. I went home and slept like a baby. When I turned on my phone at 7:30 on Black Friday, I'd already had 15 missed phone calls from the restaurant owner, his wife, and the mall management. I called the mall management and they weren't happy. I told them the whole story. They still weren't happy with me, but they understood. I waited 15 minutes before the restaurant owner called screaming in the phone demanding that I return with the signs. I politely told him that I needed the full amount, plus the cost of reinstallation, plus an extra $50 for working on an off day. He screamed at me. I hung up. He called back once more and demanded that I bring them back, and he would pay me the next week. I said no, I needed cash. He screamed at me again. I hung up. I avoided them all because screw Black Friday, but from what I hear it was comical. His entire backlit sign was nothing but lit up bulbs. He'd handwritten a menu on an old box and taped it to the front of the counter. Every restaurant in the food court was slammed all day and nobody would even take his free samples. He closed mid-afternoon after realizing nobody was going to buy. He went through the entire shopping weekend with no signs and no business. The best part was that 2 weeks later, when his new signs from India finally arrived, they were the wrong size. Screw you, Mr. Restaurant owner, for ordering signs from me that you knew you weren't going to pay for because you'd already ordered them from someone else. If you enjoyed the stories, slap the like and subscribe button for more of them, and don't forget to support the original writers with an upvote. Links are in the description. Peace out, and catch you tomorrow.